Okay, this is the interview. This is Scherzing, and I'm going to be interviewing Nintendo. So, first of all, what is the sport or activity that you do?
I play League of Legends. It's a mobile game that you play online.
And what is MOBA?
MOBA is a battle arena that you play online on your computer.
Okay, so what is your position or specialty?
I play if I in League of Legends. There's five roles, and I play the mid lane role, which does most of the damage, so that your team can come and finish off the enemy team.
Okay, now, how many years have you been playing League of Legends?
I've been playing for about 3-4 years.
Okay, and what do you think your current level of participation is at?
Um,
So, do you think you play a lot or?
I think I play a lot. I think sometimes I play too much, actually.
Okay, so as an athlete in this esport, what does a typical day require? As in, what do you usually do on the days that you play?
I usually play more on the weekends, so like I'll probably wake up and then play around from like noon, like 4, and then take a break and then play again from like midnight to like 4 or 5 in the morning.
Okay. Um, are there training? Is there like any training that you do before you go about your day of playing?
Um, Basically my training is just playing a couple of normal games to kind of just warm up my skills, and then I get into more competitive play, which are called ranked games, to show how good I am worldwide or in just NA.
Okay. And NA is North America, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Now, next, what are some of the mental aspects of your sport?
Um, Mental aspects are more of like just trying to like if you're mad or you just want to calm down, or I'll say more of it is just kind of like trying to read your opponent or trying to basically think ahead of your opponent so you can outplay them in some kind of way.
Okay, what do you mean by outplay?
Outplay is like, so here's an example of, let's say you're middling against the other player, and someone comes down and tries to kill you with the other mid laner. You can outplay them by either killing both of them somehow by using your moves to kill them.
Okay, that sounds good. Now, are there any mental preparations before you play or go into practice?
Um, Basically, the only thing I do mentally to prepare myself when I play is to just think positive. Because thinking negative, if you think negative, you have more chance of losing. So thinking positive is always good, because if you think positive, regardless of who you're versing, even if they counter the champion you're playing, you can thinking positive will make you think smarter and better, making better decisions, which can make you outplay better and help your team win the game.
Okay, so mental skills wise, how do you use those in a game? Thinking positive, is that different from, like, let's say you get to a game and you think extremely negative? Does that affect your overall gameplay?
Um, from my experience and from what I think it does actually affect your gameplay, because if you think negative, you're gonna play way too passive, so you won't get um, the creep kills, and from the killing creeps give you money so you can go buy your items to get stronger. And if you think negatively, also you'll probably play worse than you usually would if you think positively. Because if you think more positively, you'll play more aggressive, and you'll probably um, zone out their mid laner so that they won't get the creeps, so that you'll out farm them and out item them and everything, which
Okay,
makes you stronger to be able to outplay as well.
okay. Now, you talk a little bit about some of the mental things that you do, especially thinking positive. Are there any challenges that you experience during playing?
Some challenges are like when when I prepare and I play normal games, and then I get into more competitive play in the ranked games. You're probably the only good guy on your team, so like you'll get like the other four players are probably terrible, and then you have to somewhat end up carry them. And
Hold on. What do you mean by carry?
carry, let's say you're the only strong one, and your team is feeding, which means that they're dying a lot, giving the other team a lot of kills.
Okay.
Carrying is Carrying is basically helping your team to win the game, and you're doing most of the work to try and win the game for you and your team.
Okay. Now, are there any environmental factors that can also distract you from any mental challenges that you may approach? Environmental factors meaning, let's say you're in a game and somebody tries to tell you to come do something while you're in the game. How does that affect your overall gameplay as well?
Um, so if you're in a game and obviously if it's competitive, if it's just like a warm up game, then you don't really care because you're just kind of warming up your skills and warming up your hands because your hands do get sort of stiff if you don't play for a while. But if you're playing in a competitive play and basically you're in the zone. When you're playing competitively, you're like in the zone. You're ready to go, ready to win games and stuff. And if you just stop playing because you got to go do something, that when you come back to playing, you're not really in the zone anymore. So you're gonna play probably worse than you did before, and that could probably make you um, end up losing the game for your team.
Okay. So what do you actually do to overcome some of these distractions mentally?
Um, let's say as before, if I have to go do something and I come back, for me to prepare again, I will just play passive until I think I'm ready to play more aggressive and make smart decisions. Because from my personal experience, when I have to go and do something and while I'm in competitive play, I come back and if I play too aggressive, then I just make the stupid aggressive moves and I just end up losing. Or but when I play more passive and then I think it's time to go more aggressive, then I think that's a better choice. So that's when I start going more aggressive. When I think it's time, but it takes time for you to get back more into the zone when you take like even like a 30-second break. It takes more time for you to get into the zone again to play more competitively.
Okay. Now, what is your most enjoyable aspect of this game? What do you get out of it?
Um, I just get joy. It's fun. It's addicting. It's I don't know. It's just something that makes time fly if you want to go through the day quicker. I don't know. It's just fun for me, and it's I don't know if I don't play for a while, I actually get sort of irritated. So I do have to play it. It's like kind of like a need for me.
Okay. Do you think not just League of Legends, but any esports such as Dota and things like that overall, do you think those can compare to physical sports?
Um, I think it actually can because coming back to going back to the thinking positively, doing that in physical sports is also very important because again, thinking negatively, you probably mess up more, make more mistakes, and that can also help make you lose the game. So I think mentally, not mentally in physical sports that it affects your gameplay as well.
Do you think it could also physically affect your gameplay?
Um, as in as in what?
As
As
in,
in,
let's say I'm comparing it to playing physical sports such as we go play basketball. Do you think there are ways that they both kind of interact with each other? Like, can you bring does bring positiveness mentally into a physical sport? How does that? I guess you could say how does that kind of coexist with something like an e-sport?
mm, I don't know. For
So how
me,
do you kind of compare contrast to both of those? Are mentally are they both kind of the same?
I think mentally they're exactly the same because doing things mentally, doing both of them mentally are the you have to think the same way. Being mental with both of them is the same thing, but physically is different. But um, doing both, if you just have the mindset of doing both, if you actually think about it, it's actually pretty similar. Even though basketball and football is a physical sport and League of Legends is a computer e-sport, mindset wise, it's the exact same thing.
Okay. Now tell us a little bit about what League of Legends actually is.
So League of Legends is a mobile game, which is another again battle arena game. and there's two teams. There's a blue side and a purple side, and there's five players. One is top, which is the more tanky guy. That he's off on his own, just kind of killing creeps or what they call farming, and just getting stronger and getting tanky, which means getting they just stay in fights forever. Like they can't die. And then there's
Can you compare that to a physical sports player, like a football athlete, or?
yeah, that's kind of like the front line. Like for football, there's the tight end, not tight end, and or like the one that blocks for the quarterback. They're more the front line.
Okay.
They gotta defend the runner backs and the quarterback and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then there is the jungler, which kind of just sits in the forest. That there's three lanes. By the way, there's three lanes. There's a top lane, middle lane, and a bottom lane, and then there's the forest. And that's the forest is where the jungler sits, and there's little creeps in there he has to kill. And then he also puts pressure in the lane, which means he doesn't have to necessarily go in the lane and help kill the other person, the enemy person, but he can just walk in lane and help and make the enemy person walk back. So he misses the enemy, the creep, so he doesn't get gold. And then, depending on the person or the player, depending on his playstyle, he can go either full damage or tank as well.
Okay.
And then there's the mid lane. Mid lane is basically just mid lane is basically waiting for your jungler to help you either kill or you catch the other enemy mid laner on their mistakes. So, basically mid lane is just you farm, you kill, and in later in the game, you just do a ton of damage, and try to kill the backline, which are the AD carry.
Okay. Now, can you explain ADC and your bot lanes?
So bot lane is when you have two bot lane. There's a support and an ADC, and the support basically tries to sort of like sort of peel, and peeling means keeping the enemy off of your carries, which is the mid lane and the ADC, which stands for attack damage carry. And I think support is probably the most important role, because the support gives you most of the wards, and the wards give you vision on the mini map, because it's like dark, so you need the vision so you can see where the enemy is at all times. And they also have to help your AD carry and your mid laner stay alive. So I think that's probably the most important role out of all the roles. And then there's the ADC. The ADC is basically not necessarily the cleanup of the five, but more of just the damage. He does most of the damage, basically helping your mid laner, finishing up the enemy. And I think that's also an important role, because if he dies, then you like basically all the damage, because the mid laner usually only has a certain amount of damage. Like basically the mid laner relies on its moves, and if the moves are on cooldown or they don't have enough mana or something like that, then you have no more damage.
You can't use the moves, correct?
Yeah, then you can't use the moves because you need it. Basically, you always need the mana, and it's on cooldown, so you can't use it.
Okay, now going back on mental aspects, not just to you, but to other players out there that do esports. Are there any other mental aspects that you can think of other than just being positive, like going into a game? What do you think you should be going through your head other than just being positive?
I think going to a game, some things that should also be going through your head other than positivity is probably, I don't know. I can't really think of anything. I just got it. Like for me, honestly, it's just positivity. I can't think of anything else, because I think positivity is probably the most important thing. And mentally, it's the most important thing. So if there's anything else, then I can't think of it, because all I know is positivity, because that's like my personal experience.
Okay. And that'll be it. Can you say your name one more time?
My name is Nintendo, and I play mid lane for League of Legends.